I've shown the definition of an artist because I want us to agree on something. I need us to agree that an artist is anybody who draws, whether it be a hobby or a professional. A lot of people don't think of themselves as an artist because they don't get paid for it, or they don't have many followers, but that's just not the case. Anyone who expresses themselves creatively is an artist. That being said, with art, something that's so based on expression, there comes a sense of self in what you create. Let me explain. On the background of this video is a speed drawing of a figure I did a while back. The reason I'm showing this is to show just how much I mess up when I draw. For you, they may look like just a screw up that'll be fixed later, but for anyone who is creative, you know it's much more than just messing up. Ever since we were kids, we've gotten validation about our art, whether that validation came from our parents, strangers, or everything in between. It became imperative that we seek that validation for something we create. We become so attached to the validation we get from others on what we create that it becomes a part of ourselves that we love. But with that love comes a sense of self that we have to protect. Everything has to be perfect, or else people won't love it. People won't love me. Every time we mess up during a drawing, it's almost like your sense of self is being challenged. The image not coming out the way you want feels like a blow to who you are. Even someone critiquing or showing disinterest to your work feels like they've just disrespected you in some way. It hurts. But why does it hurt? What makes it sting to know that someone doesn't like what you've created? I mean, you like it, right? Isn't that what matters most? It all starts with our constant seeking of validation at a young age for our creations. For some people, what we don't realize is that because we spend so much time with ourselves and our works, the constant self-criticizing seeps into our day-to-day lives. We begin to criticize ourselves in any and every situation. What that does to your brain is put yourself in a state of constant criticism. Obviously, if your brain gets so used to doing something one way, it'll constantly do it. It's like you begin to get comfortable with being mean to yourself 24/7. Nobody wants to live like that. I truly believe that that's why so many artists are either depressed or just give up on art because of the constant dissatisfaction and constant self-criticism. What if it didn't have to be that way? We all have social media. We all live in a time where, sadly, social media is almost necessary to get your work out there. But with social media, comparison isn't far behind. The only way we tend to judge ourselves is by comparing ourselves against others. We strive to become better or be better than everyone else. That mindset gives us an ego that builds and spills over into our day-to-day. A lot of artists won't be able to see that they even have this ego. It's disguised as fake humility. If you constantly find yourself asking people to look at what you've done and expect nothing but praise and admiration, that's the ego inside of you. The moment that person doesn't give you the response you intended to hear, your ego gets bruised and you get defensive. It works the same way when we post our works onto social media. We post and expect hundreds of likes and comments because we created it. The moment we don't get that response from social media, our ego gets bruised. And to see others get that admiration that you so desperately crave, it bugs you. Especially if your ego leads you to believe that you are somehow a better artist than this person. Social media, I believe, pushes the stigma that validation can only be received monetarily or externally, and that self-validation isn't enough. You need others to validate your art. In turn, you need others to validate you and your way of expression. It's almost impossible to silence that inner critic in your head sometimes, especially when it feels like that inner critic is right. Every time we screw up, the inner critic gets louder and louder. The love you had for the beginning of this journey slowly turns into disdain and self-loathing. Trust me, I know. But how does one go about silencing that inner critic? That's a topic for a full-length video, but I can say this. In the beginning of this video, I said that being an artist creates a sense of self in what you create. Being that we put our identities in what we create. What happens when everything we create feels like it isn't enough? At some point, whether you know it or not, you've gotten comfortable with feeling like you aren't good enough. Nobody deserves to feel like they aren't good enough. And art definitely shouldn't make you feel like you aren't good enough. On this never-ending creative journey that we choose to embark on, we have to understand that failure is just inevitable. It's not an indictment on who we are. It's just a reminder that there's always room to improve. Even if we fail on a piece we've created, 2 months later, if you come back to it, it'll look like a whole new world of possibilities can be seen. Constantly seeing art in this way will slowly start to creep up in your day-to-day, understanding that, hey, I might screw up on this thing that I'm trying, but the more I do it, the better I'll get. We have to leave this idea that we have to create the next big thing and that everyone will love it and everything will be perfect. It just doesn't work that way. But the bright side is that even through all these screw-ups and struggles that we go through on this journey, we create something that we actually like. If you made it to the end of this video, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out to watch this video in its entirety. I genuinely hope it helps you on this journey. Being someone who expresses themselves exclusively through art can be so demoralizing when your expression doesn't come out the way you want, or it just doesn't feel seen and validated. I hope to make more videos like this to talk about some of the things most artists don't have the space to talk about. If you do relate, please comment under the video, share your experience in this journey and see that you are not alone. And one more thing, I also stream every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this YouTube channel. And I guess I should say like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, follow all my socials and